Ever noticed how a home can feel heavier on some days without anything having visibly changed? You cleaned last week, nothing dramatic has happened, and yet there it is, a quiet, settled weight in the air that simply wasn't there before. Most of us assume the answer is more cleaning, a longer session, an earlier start, a better system of boxes and shelves, but cleaning harder has never quite solved it, because the problem was never really about the cleaning at all. Today, we are going to look at 5 Japanese habits that understood this a long time before we did. Subscribe for more simple habits that make everyday life feel lighter. Let's begin. A home never becomes cluttered in a single day. That is the part we rarely stop to notice until it has already happened. One afternoon, you settle into your favorite chair, glance around the room, and feel it. A low, familiar heaviness that was not there a few weeks ago. And when you trace it back, the story is always the same, small moments repeated. A cardigan left on the armchair because you would wear it again tomorrow. A shopping bag set near the front door and never quite carried through to the kitchen. A cup rinsed and left on the draining board instead of returned to its shelf. None of these felt like a problem at the time. Each small delay seemed perfectly reasonable, and slowly, without any single moment you could point to, the home filled up. Ever noticed how none of it announces itself? The heaviness does not arrive with a warning. It gathers the way dust gathers, so gradually that each individual day feels entirely normal, until one afternoon it simply does not. It is about the small decisions that are quietly left unfinished every single day. The cardigan on the armchair is an unfinished decision. The bag by the front door is an unfinished decision. The letters sitting on the kitchen counter since Tuesday, the open magazine on the side table, the cup still waiting on the draining board. Each one is a moment where a small choice was gently postponed. I will put this away in a moment. I will deal with that after lunch. And slowly, the home stops being a place of rest and begins instead to carry a long, quiet list of things waiting to be resolved. That is why researchers who study home environments note that visual clutter does not simply fill space, it fills attention. Every time the eye rests on something out of place, the brain quietly registers it, not urgently, but steadily in the background. A low and constant reminder. This needs sorting, that needs returning. Something ought to be done about that corner. This is exactly where Japan sees things differently. Japan is not a simpler country to live in. Cities like Tokyo hold some of the smallest homes in the world. Storage is genuinely limited, daily life is full, and the days are long. And yet when you step into a traditional Japanese home, the first thing you notice is not tidiness, it is how the space feels, calm, unhurried, as though the room itself has been allowed to breathe. And slowly, as you look around, you begin to understand why. The reason is not expensive storage solutions, careful aesthetics, or a larger home. And here is why this matters so much for those of us who want to spend our energy wisely. These habits do not ask for large efforts. They do not require new equipment, a free afternoon, or a perfectly organized starting point. Each one takes seconds, not hours. And any one of them, tried steadily for a single week, can quietly begin to change how your home feels, not by demanding more, but genuinely by asking less. Today we are going to look at 5 of these habits together. Mottainai, a Japanese understanding of the things we own. A fixed home for every object, the one-touch rule, the entrance reset, and micro-cleaning. None are complicated, none require anything you do not already have. The first Japanese habit begins with a single word, mottainai. Hearing it for the first time, you might assume it simply means owning fewer things. But its meaning is a little deeper. Mottainai is the understanding that nothing of genuine value should go to waste, and that includes the quiet mental space taken up by things we keep out of habit rather than purpose. Think for a moment about one drawer in your home. If you opened it honestly right now, you might find a key whose lock no longer exists. a pen that ran dry long ago, a small container whose lid was lost years back. None of these stayed by choice. They stayed because letting them go required a decision, and decisions take energy. And so, slowly, the drawer filled not with useful things, but with quietly postponed choices. Mottainai asks one gentle question of every object. Does this still serve me today? If the honest answer is no, the object is passed on, donated, or let go with care. It is not about emptying the home. It is about ensuring that what remains has a clear reason to be there. And when only purposeful things remain, the next habit becomes much easier to build. Think about the things you search for most often: your reading glasses, the television remote, your front door keys. On any given day, how many different surfaces might they appear on? For most of us, the answer is at least 3 or 4, and every small search, every moment spent retracing steps for something that should be easy to find, takes something from us. Not much each time, but steadily, across a morning, it quietly accumulates. In a home where every object has one fixed place it always returns to, that searching almost disappears. The glasses are always on the side table. The keys are always near the door. The brain no longer needs to track them, and that quiet release of attention is more restoring than it might first seem. It is not about remembering where you put things. It is about designing a home where you never have to remember at all. Tonight, there is no need to reorganize every room. Choose one category: your reading glasses, your medicines, your keys, and decide on one single permanent home for them. You will feel the ease within days. A cardigan taken off in the sitting room and left over the armchair. Later moved to the bedroom doorway, placed on the chair, eventually draped over the wardrobe handle. It was never lost, but it made 4 stops when one was enough. Every extra touch becomes a small task saved for later. And later, as we all know, has a way of quietly becoming never. In traditional Japanese homes, this entrance space is called the genkan, a calm boundary between the outside world and the peace of home. Shoes are removed there, and with them, quietly, some of the weight of the day is left behind. It is not merely practical, it is a gentle signal. What belonged to the outside can stay at the door. We may not have a traditional genkan, but the feeling can be created. A clean mat near the entrance, a small place for shoes, a hook or bowl where keys are always returned, and a few unhurried seconds before stepping fully inside, a breath taken, shoes changed, the phone placed in a pocket. That small pause draws an invisible line between the busyness of the day and the quiet of your home. Sometimes a home does not feel peaceful by removing shoes. It feels peaceful by removing the day. The 5th habit holds all the others gently in place. It is called micro-cleaning, and its principle is straightforward. A home that is never allowed to become very untidy does not need to be deeply cleaned. Instead of saving everything for one long Saturday session, which always feels heavier than expected and is always the first thing to be postponed, micro-cleaning spreads the smallest tasks across each ordinary day. Wipe the kitchen surface after breakfast. 20 seconds. Dry the sink after washing your hands. Fold one item of laundry before sitting down. Individually, each of these feels like almost nothing. Together, over days and weeks, they quietly save hours. Small actions consistently done, like compound interest, but for the calm of a home. And the most important thing, none of these actions require a cleared afternoon or a special effort. They simply fold into the ordinary flow of a day. None of these habits ask you to become a different kind of person or to suddenly find hours you do not have. They simply ask you to close small, ordinary loops a little sooner than before. And that, in the end, is the quiet secret behind every calm Japanese home. It was never about owning less, or scrubbing harder, or finding some perfect system. It was about 100 tiny decisions, made a little sooner, day after day. Try just one of these 5 habits this week. Not all of them, just one. Notice how the room feels by Friday. A calmer home is not built in a single afternoon. It is built in seconds, quietly repeated, until one day you look around and realize the heaviness is simply gone. If this helped, subscribe for more simple habits that make everyday life feel lighter.